Okay, I think we have everybody. Good afternoon, and depending on where you are, good evening, good morning. Hope everybody is doing well. Welcome to our webinar. My name is Aaron. I am the project manager here at Storage Guardian. Joining us on the panel today, we have Omri Fedrin, who's the owner-operator of Storage Guardian. We also have Brendan Rando and Leila Rahani from Cisco that will be joining us. So the topic today is the next generation of data protection, Cisco Umbrella and Storage Guardian. So let's start with a little brief introduction for Storage Guardian. Storage Guardian, we have over 2 decades of experience in backup. We believe cloud should incorporate all stakeholders and incorporate the whole system. Because it affects the brand and its ability to transact. We built our unique mechanism around consumption-based billing, proactive monitoring, and centralized management. We also built it around security and compliance. We are SOC 2 certified, and we have end-to-end encryption for our backup, security, and is our utmost priority. So we have been partnering with Cisco to provide a fortified cloud destination for your data that includes endpoint security and business intelligence. And now to talk a little bit more on data protection, I'm going to introduce Omri Fedrin, who is our owner-operator. Omri, go ahead.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us for the webinar together with our partnership with Cisco. We've seen through the past couple of months, your Storage Guardian customers, that threats, alarms, and alerts, and can come really from any form. And usually, traditionally, Storage Guardian is the air gap data, utilizing the Veeam platform. However, Veeam and Cisco, they've aligned together, and we thought it'd be a nice opportunity to talk about endpoint protection and see how your Veeam workloads can work together with Cisco, utilizing the Cisco Umbrella endpoint protection, which is powered by BI and business intelligence and machine learning. And what we want to do today is talk about the Storage Guardian value proposition in terms of remediating alarms and alerts utilizing Cisco platform on the endpoints, and how it translates, of course, into best practices on creating service boards and remediating them, and ultimately shutting down your Veeam repositories. We're going to do a live demonstration of this of the umbrella a little bit later in the presentation. And while I'm often long in words, what I'm going to do is I'm going to transition this over to the Cisco team and let them take it away. Thank you very much.
Okay, Brendan, thank you so much. Thank you, Omri. So we're going to pass the floor to Brendan. Brendan, you're on the first slide.
Oh, all right. Sorry, I meant to start on my slide. There we go.
All good, thank you.
First of all, just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity to Storage Guardian. What I will be talking about today is around secure endpoint. We do have actually 2 products that I think got confused a little bit in the naming convention, but that's okay. Secure Endpoint is for all of your endpoint devices. Secure Umbrella is a DNS forward looking product solution that we offer. Today we're going to talk around endpoint, because endpoint is that last line of defense when it comes to securing your users, your devices, and the overall environment. So like I said, or like I was introduced, my name is Brandon. I've been with Cisco for about 10 years now, 5 on endpoint security, and I also cover the cloud security portion at Cisco as well. I have Leila Rahani here with me today, who is going to be doing a presentation for us a little bit later, diving into the tool set and how it can help. But I want to get into just a bit of the particulars, the parameters, and the what is it around Cisco endpoint, Cisco secure endpoint. So Secure Endpoint was an acquisition that we made around 6 years ago, and we've transformed it from traditional antivirus and that next generation antivirus platform into the detection and remediation platform that we have today. So what we started off as was, that next generation where we were offering that protection story with a little bit more against anti-malware in our early days, and we've moved into a lot of, like it was mentioned before, machine learning and intelligence, and a lot of different machines different engines that help our threat researchers and our staff today. So let's dive in. Some of the big things that I've noticed over the last 5 years is that endpoints is kind of that last line of defense before things go haywire, right? It's a constant ask of IT departments today and IT staff, are we safe from this? Do we have this in our environment? Is this something that I need to go and protect against? And not only that, but your IT staff, that security staff are wearing more and more hats every single day as we ask them to, go and figure out what that latest threat is, or what that, that latest incident of compromise or evidence might be that we've seen in the media or in the news, or, hey, for example, WannaCry, hey, have we seen that before in our environment? What does that normally take our threat researchers, our employees to go have a look at? Well, the average time to detection still in 2021 was around 212 days, I think, and 75 days to actually remediate. So what we've actually noticed is that versus 2020, that number's actually gone up. As tools have still become more effective, and our ability to use those tools have become more effective, our time to remediation and our time to detection is still going up. What does that translate to? Our threat actors are getting better, right? Our threat actors are realizing that we are using a lot of these tool sets to combat them and are trying to come up with new ways to evade you, which is bogging down your current operations within your security staff. With security being such a challenge, we broke it out into three things, right? We see that there's three things that are really impacting your security operations or your security team today, and that is a combination of expertise, meaning I don't have the ability, I don't have the knowledge to go after every single new threat that's out there. Time, I don't have the time to do it, right? There's so many new threats. There's so much noise that comes in from our security tools today that we already can't look at. Adding threat hunting to our environment becomes something that, really bogs down our staff and our operations to a point that we're almost at a standstill if we have a breach or if something happens. And then evidence, right? Again, mentioning all of those different various tool sets that you have across your security posture and looking to say, hey, I saw this over here, but, this is telling me something different, or this disposition and this disposition don't match up between all of these various tools. What happens then is your team is constantly going around and having to query their various tools and create their own reporting that's on the side that takes time, that's usually manual, to come up with, do we have this environment, yes or no, in our environment, yes or no? Which should be a simple yes or no question, could take multiple days. So one of the things that we are providing with Secure Endpoint is that visibility into what's going on into every endpoint that you have. Not only just point in time, but we're doing that across a 30-day recording. So think of us as like a Nest camera, right? We've got a 30-day of recording, and we're literally just watching everything that goes by, every process, every executable file, everything that's happening from an endpoint perspective, whether that's a mobile device, whether that's on PC, Windows, Linux servers, we have it covered. We also have Android and iOS devices for a mobile perspective. So, being able to take some of these challenges and then translate those into positive business outcomes for our customers is really where Secure Endpoint really resides and really helps. By providing you with that expertise, and every click that you make on our platform, it explains what you're doing. What's your next step? What do you need to do? How do I remediate? And it explains to you in very plain English so that you can have a reduction in not only your response, but your remediation time, because your team now has the evidence and the tool set and the power to go out and take that next step of being able to detect it and then respond to it. Because we've gone from just that initial protection, that moat around the castle, if you will. They figured out how to get over and are now climbing the walls. We now have to be able to detect that and be able to respond to that. So again, just very briefly, this is how our solution works, right? So we stop compromises as they, before they come in, right? Before they become compromises. And we are seeing that, where the ability for us to go out and quickly detect advanced attacks so that they're not actually happening on your environment, or they're not exploding into that next computer, or that ability to say, hey, I've detected this in real time, let's do something about it. And then giving you those abilities, giving that expertise so that you can understand what's in front of you and give you that ability to go out and detect it and respond to it, and then be able to maximize those operations within that detection and response. So being able to decrease your incident response time, right, with more advanced feature sets and more advanced tool sets. So not just looking at, are we protected? Are we hitting that low-hanging fruit anymore? But more focused on that 1% of things that potentially get through, not that 99% block that everyone's doing today. And, being able to focus on that 1% and have 100% confidence in that 99% that's being blocked on your behalf allows us to take that heavy lifting off of your team and deliver it to you in a cloud delivered format in which you have, answers and the ability to make, detections and actions much more faster, and then be able to, remediate much faster, right? Go and see the spread of the environment, and then being able to say, hey, we've got to contain to just one environment, just one computer here, or just one endpoint. Thus being able to maximize the effectiveness of your security operations, because you're not now chasing 6 5-alarm fires, you're chasing one thing that's come through. And I'm not giving you a bunch of noise that your team has to go chase and determine on their own, because everything in our solution works together. And so what happens is, if I see it once in my environment, let's say, for example, I see it on an initial DNS request out to the internet. Somebody's typed in, a malicious destination, or I've been redirected from, let's say, google.com to a malicious redirection. Well, we have data and intelligence sitting at that level, and at every other security posture level within that posture. So think of us as we're in every layer of that onion, if you will, and we're providing that intelligence all the way back across, all the way back down to endpoint, and then all the way across all of our other security tools. So we're not just seeing it on endpoint and updating the environment, but we're seeing it, on a firewall in India 3 hours ago, and it's already been updated in our environment, so that by the time that spread makes it across to anywhere that our networks might be contained or attached to, we're already protected. We don't have to worry about it. We can move on to the next greatest thing. So we look at this in 3 pillars, right? We have obviously the protection, and the protection, that low-hanging fruit of doing all of those easier blocks for you, all of the stuff that we've already got dispositions on, we've got a scoring against, we've already sent to Sandbox, because what happens is every 15 minutes, our connectors on each of these endpoints update. And what they do is they poke that cloud of intel database that's provided to us by our Talos threat research group, and they say, hey, has anything changed? Give me the latest disposition. And what we're doing is every 15 minutes getting the latest and greatest of what's going on, if we're not already highlighting on it as it comes in. So if it's not immediately detected, within every 15 minutes, you have a heartbeat interval that happens and everything gets updated. So it's within real time. And you can see that, we're doing it with less of the headaches that you would normally get from a fractured security posture or stack. By bringing it all together, by having unified tool sets, by having your entire security stack talk all the way across and share that intelligence feed, we're showing not only are our protection rates are increased to the point of the, malware protection, we're almost at 100%. It's 99.98%. Realware protection tests, we're showing up at 99.3 with one false alarm. So we have one false positive for all the testing that we've done in this test, for example. And AV Comparables, they're a large testing site for Endpoint. So you can see too the false alarm test, right? We have a very low false positive on non-business software. Again, giving your team back more time as they don't have it to go and chase all of these different alerts and alarms that are going on in the rest of the network. It's streamlined. It's one place to look and one place to look across the entire security stack. And you can do that with confidence. And here's this is just one of the tests that we've got to show just how effective these tool sets are. So again, if malware gets in, we have an immediate detection or within that 15-minute heartbeat interval. And what happens there is that, we continue, because what we're doing is we're continuously going back again against that 30-day recording to see, have we changed? Are we doing anything? Have we missed anything? Can we be better? And then, whether it's an immediate detection or it's happening a little bit later in retrospective, we can actually remove that malware automatically from those endpoints, quarantine it, isolate it, remove it from the network, and then not only that, but update the rest of the network of what's happened so that it doesn't come across anywhere else. And then that allows us to have, those detection and response capabilities that, we are more of those next generation tools and engines that we are looking to take our current solution from into, some of these capabilities if you don't have them today. Like I was mentioning, that 30-day recording window, that continuous activity monitoring, that as anything comes across that endpoint, file, process, executable, we're taking a recording of it, we're watching it. So that we've got that baseline of your endpoint to say, okay, hey, or we've seen it somewhere else in the world. We understand that these are the next 3 steps that might potentially happen if we think it's associated with this attack or this potential attack. And we have that ability to show you before, so that we're doing, isolation events before things are getting beyond individual endpoints. Advanced endpoint search, so using our orbital query. What that essentially is, it's an OS-based query, and that allows you to turn any endpoint in your environment or all endpoints in your environment into a queryable database where you can look to see if maybe, for example, is the internal firewall of that computer turned off? Has my user added anything to this endpoint? Also, we give you the ability for sandboxing, so using our threat grid portion and integration. We actually send automatically for you. We send files up to be sandboxed in our threat intelligence. We run them for 7 minutes and get those dispositions and send it down to you in a digestible report so you can actually go and look and see, hey, this got a 89 out of 100 score, but why? And then it gives you all of the different reasons. It'll give you a video recording of what happened in that sandboxed environment in those 7 minutes it was ran. We'll show you, where it went on the network, where it came in and out, network exits. Give you the ability to threat hunt, right? So, if I polled the room today and I asked each of the organizations that are in the room, hey, how many people do you have dedicated to threat hunting in your environment today? Is it 3? Is it 5? Is it 1? Most people would laugh because it's probably not something that's dedicated today, first of all, and it's something that's done at best effort, and you have probably an all hands on deck type of approach when it comes to something that's come in and we have to go hunt. We also show you things like vulnerable software, so giving you the visibility to see what needs to be patched where and on which endpoints. We don't actually do the patch for you, but we'll show you, hey, these different IOCs are tied to this vulnerable software. You may want to go ahead and patch that. Also, low prevalence software, right? Software that we only see on one endpoint in your environment or only a couple of endpoints in your environment. We haven't seen them maybe rest of world or rest of network. We're going to let you know that, hey, maybe that's a file that you might want to go take a look at, or that's something that you may want to go take a look at that's not necessarily triggering something in a alert status that allows us to block it today. And then also unmanaged endpoint discovery, right? The ability to go and find endpoints that aren't necessarily managed by your organization today, but that might be on your network. And that could be a combination of remote workers that are just adding to the network, or it could be, someone tapping into the network that shouldn't be. We give you that visibility to see that. And then being able to respond, right? Having all those detection capabilities are fantastic. If you cannot respond to them, there's not really much you can do other than just watch, right? So being able to do that right-click block story that I mentioned, right? That ability to simply right-click within any of the tool sets, block it, and have it block across the rest of the network in that unity. And then being able to create your own custom blocks or allow lists. Like say, for example, you have an application that development uses today and you need to whitelist that. We have that ability for you for not only files, but network traffic as well. The application control, so giving you abilities around each of the applications that we support and having an allow list. Endpoint isolation, like I mentioned earlier, right? The ability to essentially turn off everything around the endpoints other than its ability to reach out to the intelligence cloud for more information from our intel feed until someone can physically go and have a look at it, right? Say it's 3 o'clock in the morning and nobody's driving the wheel from a security perspective at in your organization, right? This is a great tool where you can automate an action so that endpoint isolation happens. And then being able to accelerate threat response with 2 different integrated security platforms that we offer out for free with any of our Cisco toolsets today. That being Cisco Threat Response, which is a single pane of glass across all of your Cisco security devices when doing an investigation. And Layla's going to touch on this a little bit earlier, where it shows you in real time, hey, we have this computer that we see, but we also have this file over here that we're unsure about that isn't malicious, and we have this computer over here that's associated to it that we're unsure about as well. And giving you the visibility, the ability to make those decisions, and then respond to it, and then have in such a way that you can see those response capabilities actually happening within your network, using being able to use the secure threat response platform to see spread and things of that nature, and be able to again continue that right-click block anytime you need to do an investigation, which will help you answer in a matter of moments that simple yes/no question of, do we have it in the environment today? Because if it's a no, you don't have to take any further actions. You can move on about your day. If it's a yes, you have to go do some more digging, but it's all there at your fingertips using Secure Endpoint. And again, just eliminating those blind spots, right? The one thing with Endpoint is the added complexity of devices, users, increased servers being added in, and Linux malware being created, and there's so many different things that are coming at our networks and at our environments today that weren't necessarily a thing that we had to worry about even 6 months ago, right? So continuous monitoring, the ability to tie to MITRE, right? So that you get techniques, tactics, what was being used, why it was being used, and how it's tied back to a framework. And then all color coded so that you can understand, is this low severity? Is this high severity? And then using things like device and file trajectory, right? To really be able to say, okay, let's take a look back now at that 30-day of recording and see what happened. Where did it come from? Where has it been? Is it something that's just on this one endpoint, or do I have a bigger problem? What is it doing? And then how do we stop it if it hasn't been stopped already today? Right, those are things that are more than likely keeping up a lot of organizations up at night today, because they don't have that simple solution when it comes to even just answering that initial yes/no question. And then, one of the other things that we offer with Cisco is the ability to have us kind of watch over your shoulder, right? We'll do some threat hunting within your environment. So what we actually do is, we create playbooks for our own threat intelligence through our own threat researchers, and we'll share those playbooks with your organization. These are playbooks that are getting created across the globe, but you have access to that intel feed and that playbook development, as well as having access to those elite threat hunters in your environment running those playbooks, saying, hey, you may want to go take a look at this. And how are we delivering that? We're delivering it in a digestible format, a report that shows you the timeline. hey, these are the computers that are affected, but this is the timeline as things came in. If there's anything that you need to go take a look at from your perspective in your own environment that we aren't containing today, we have all of the steps of how to remediate, how to get it off the endpoint, everything laid out in plain English, so that your teams can immediately take action on this. And then using, Securex is another one, right? And that's what that's doing, is that's bringing the operations of everything together. So all of your different security tools are being pulled together within one single pane of management and operation. Similar to a SIM or a SOAR, it's going to allow you for that single pane across all of your Cisco security tools, so that you can start using that intelligence together. You can create your own playbooks, so that you're not just relying on what Cisco's threat hunting with and what they're using by their threat hunters, but you can start to create your own and use your own playbooks and have them tie into the entire security stack that you're operating and protecting today. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pass it over to Layla, and I'm going to have her jump. Oh, actually, sorry. Just really quickly, why Cisco? Obviously, we were the industry's first when it came to that right-click block story. We have that integrated technology so that you don't have to go across your various tool sets to make those changes. You see it once, you block it everywhere with just a simple right-click. We've got over 15 million protected endpoints today, over 70,000 customers, and over 100 million on our DNS security customers, which also feeds into our larger Intel database. With that, I'm going to pass it over to Layla, who's going to dive into a quick demo just to show some of the capabilities that I was speaking about. Layla, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for your time today. I'm Layla, and I'm going to walk you through the demo today. So we talked about a lot of things. I'm going to try my best to be on point, divide it to gloss. I'm just going to gloss it over with the first page. So this is the dashboard. I'm going to walk you through this very quickly, but afterward, I'm going to show you what kind of information we actually should pay attention to and what are we going to do about it. So the very first, when you log into your dashboard of the secure endpoint, you do see, it shows you who has been compromised in my network. So as you can see on this red box, there are 30 out of 43, means that 30 of my computers out of 43 that have the secure endpoint on them have been compromised. So this is just a matter of for demo data. Hopefully never ever somebody logs into their the dashboard and sees 70% is already compromised. But this is the type of information you basically get. This is the minimum. Every other vendor should be able to show you that who's been compromised. In the middle shows the quarantine detection. This is also something that every vendor should be able to do. However, on the right side, you do see the vulnerabilities. I'll dig into the rest of them more in a bit, but I want to talk about the vulnerabilities that Brandon just mentioned. So the vulnerabilities part on the right side, you can see, if you take a look at that, it shows you, for example, I'm just going to take a look at all of them, the vulnerable softwares that we've already had, and it's for example, let's say I have an Adobe Flash Player on my computer that has some severe vulnerabilities, some security holes, and it needs a patch. We're not going to patch it for you, but we'll tell you these are the CVEs associated with this vulnerability. The demos that access is the endpoint that needs the patch, and you would go ahead and tell that user to either upgrade or push the upgrade through some other MDM solution. So let's get back to our dashboard. We have all this information right now. What are we going to do? How are we going to do the threat hunting? How are we going to look into what exactly has happened? Before I go there, I want to show you if, for example, something happens, if a bad file, a malicious file, gets the chance to sit on a computer and runs, am I going to be automatically, as a network admin, as a security operational person, am I going to know about it? What if it happens 3 a.m. in the morning? So in the events part, I want to show you how to subscribe to events. If I, for example, go to my threat detect and go to my last 30 days, it basically shows you I can subscribe to this, that if immediately anything that is a threat detected, execution that has been blocked, rootkit, DFC threat detected, exploit prevention, malicious activity, all of that type of incidents, I can subscribe to them. I can get an immediate email or one email per event, which I would probably do it daily. So this is a type of subscription you can get. This is pretty amazing. But let's look at our inbox. This is the type. This is where you actually need to pay attention. Where exactly my devices have been compromised? What exactly has happened? I want to just know more. So this is 30 of 43 of my computers need proper attention. There are observables, there are event types that I'm going to talk about them in a little bit more, but as you can see, there's a tray here that 30 of them require attention. And I'm just going to pick one randomly. As you can see, demo ZBot, for example, if I open that endpoint, it shows that it's a Windows 10. There's internal IP, external IP. When was the last time this endpoint was active? It also shows that what kind of group is this endpoint a part of, and what is the policy. So if I click on the device trajectory, it's going to show me. So I want to know all these events. I want to see, okay, so there are a lot of compromised events on this in this endpoint. How am I going to look at it? If I click on the device trajectory, it basically takes me to a new page. I've already done that. It's going to take me to a new page that draws my attention on when exactly this has happened. It's a timeline of the processes that have run on this endpoint. So if you click on this red dot, 16 compromised events, if you click on that, it shows you on 9th of March around 8:30, this indication of compromise shows up on this endpoint. And how are we going to look at it? So this yellow part that you can see, it's where exactly we need to pay attention to. I'm going to start from the left of this page, and then we go all the way to the right, because we want to make sense of it. So on the left side, you can see there are system processes. So there's service SVC host, there's Explorer executive file, there's Explorer. What does it exactly mean? So Explorer.exe has been running up to like 8 all the way up to 8:02 Eastern time. Then iExplorer has been launched from the Explorer, and iExplorer, however, has launched a process named a.exe. We don't know about this. We don't know what exactly has happened, but this is a child of iExplorer, and as you can see, a.exe has launched a child with a malicious disposition in the Advanced Malware Protection Cloud, which is 2_356 something, one of those long names that hackers normally use. So this is exactly where the compromise is happening. So now we know that this is a very good example of a lateral move of how exactly a process starts getting a machine infected, and super quick. Every file has a fingerprint. So all fingerprint, that means that's a unique fingerprint. We have a disposition for every file. It could be malicious, it could be suspicious, unknown, or clean. So all of them are color coded in the visuals, and they're all in a big database of advanced malware protection. So as you can see, this skull here shows that it's a bad file. So if I take a look at the event details on the right, it shows that this executable file has been detected. It's a Windows 2000 operating system. It's been executed by a.exe, and as you can see, a.exe itself is related to an unknown SHA-256, and it's been downloaded from getmalware.com from port 8888. And this file was not quarantined because at the time that it was downloaded, it was in audit mode only. So audit only mode means that we create events for you, but we don't quarantine, we don't block, we just let it run. But we let you know this is happening on this machine. And normally for testing, people put on audit only, but after a week of testing, everything should be protected. So now I am very curious. I want to understand. Now we did the threat detection. The detection part of this job is done, and right now I want to investigate and go through more of the threat investigation. So there are all of these observables in any page, any Cisco product you get have a pivot menu. What does that mean? It gives me options. So look at that. It gives me the options of file analysis, trajectory, file fetch, but on the top of it, there's one verdict for this observable, means that I can investigate it to learn more about it. If I click on the investigate to learn more, what happens is that it's gonna grab that observable, which is that SHA, that fingerprint, goes around in my Securex threat response that comes for free with any premier license of the secure endpoint, asks around and is like, okay guys, all the security products that have a REST API connected to this product, tell me if you have already seen this observable, and tell me more about where exactly you've seen it. Give me a timeline, give me your verdicts, give me your citing or judgments, and tell me if you have any idea. If you've seen it in my network, please give me an idea so I come up with a graph. So what happens is that when it does get the enrichments from all of the sources of intelligence, it comes back to me with a graph like this. So the reason I did the investigation was that because I wanted to understand if this malware has been spread around. But there's one good news here. I did my investigation on this red one with this magnifier glass, and it shows that it's targeted only one of my endpoints, which is this purple demo zbot. So that's good news. It hasn't traveled anywhere in my network, so that's good news. Normally, just a quick comment about this whole graph is that when you hover over any of these parts of this graph, it shows you the relationship between all of them. So you can see, if I hover over this, that one malicious file is a parent of this clean file. I would think this clean file is sitting somewhere on my endpoint. They're related. I would want to block that file as well. Maybe it's just a clean file that is going to launch a bad child later on. The way that we just noticed that how the lateral movement is happening. Also, there's an unknown file that is launched by this malicious file. It comes from 6 file paths. Maybe I will want to take a look at all these file paths on this endpoint and completely block them. Also, as we all know, we took a look at it. A.exe executed this this malicious file, and of course, it's targeted this endpoint. The very first thing I would do, I would isolate this endpoint. How would you do that? It's just a click of a button. You have to have a policy in place that is applied on that endpoint and is giving me the capability to isolate it. But when you have it, it's just a click. Everything is with the pivot menu. So if you click on the AMP GUID, it gives you a start isolation. So basically, it takes the computer, that endpoint, off the network, and you can basically remediate everything. You can remove all those clean or unknown files that are related to this malicious file and completely clean up the laptop and put it back to the network. Is there any questions so far? If there's any, please hold them. We're gonna have questions and answers, but so far I am, we have 20 minutes. I'm gonna give the ball back to Brandon for a wrap up.
And I think you're on mute.
Sorry, I was double muted. Sorry, my apologies. Thank you, Layla. Just wanted to just have a couple of final thoughts here. So, like Layla showed you, right, we have the ability for a single pane of glass when it comes to investigation, right? The ability to take one piece of evidence in an investigation and have a journey where you can go and query all of your endpoints that are associated in this free tool, and not only be able to, have a look and make sure that, just be able to answer that like yes, no question that we were talking about before, right? But then be able to do things like do that right click block that Layla showed you, right? The ability to just click on any file there. You can start the, if it's a host, you can start the isolation of it if you'd like to go investigate further, or if it's something that, you're not sure about if it's in the environment yet today and you have any piece of evidence, where you would find that evidence. You can go to any blog post that's capturing incidents of compromise. We have a blog post with Talos at Cisco that's great. We also have a podcast, Beers with Talos, if you've ever listened to that. Those guys are really funny. It's just our threat researchers sitting down, having a beer and talking about latest and greatest threats and kind of how they deal with them. But more importantly, just wanted to show that you have the ability to take all of that investigative tools, that the power of Cisco, and be able to use that in your environment to query it, right? So to be able to answer that simple yes, no question of do we have it in the environment today? Because if you didn't see any if you didn't see any target computers like we did in purple there, you wouldn't have anything to further investigate because it wasn't in the environment. One of the things, too, that you can also do is you can add to that investigation. So as we saw with those gray files that were unknown, we can then go and add those into our investigation to see if there's any other computers in the environment that might be there. So, it's a really powerful tool to then take the information that you gather for it. Like Layla showed you, there's a magnifying glass that shows you what you did investigate. Everything else that came out there was additional information that you can add to that investigation to see, is this compromise, happened any further? In the investigation that the example that we showed, it was just that one computer and the spread was contained to that. But, you can definitely show how you can jump from computer to computer to understand if there are multiple that might be involved in your network with a couple of simple clicks within that tool. The virtualization gives you the visibility to do it in a fashion in which you can separate out the attack. You can kind of understand it more than you would maybe protect in the device or file directory, because it does visualize it for you in a prettier fashion. With that, we do offer trials and proof of values of this product to test it in your own environment. We offer, we can show it to you in demo mode where we can do it in audit and show you, all of the data that we have around it. But being able to test it in your own environment with your own users, your own data, is a little bit more resonating to a lot of our testers and our potential customers. With that, I'm going to hand it back to Storage Guardian. I do thank you for your time, and if you do want to try this product out, please reach out to Storage Guardian and we will be able to assist.
Thank you, Brendan. Thank you, Layla. That was very informative. It's very awesome to see. Always awesome to see things in action. So let me just make sure things. Yeah. So. Once again, pivot back to Storage Guardian. We share one of the things that we do partner with Cisco is that we share a lot of core philosophy on how cloud and alarm and alert should have, instead of something that is multi-sourced, we have the same philosophy and ideology on having a centralized location for monitoring service boards, including alarm and alerts. And here's a little snippet of what our service boards for storage, alarm, and alert look like, where just like Cisco, we allow you to customize what is your local alarm and alert and what to alert you. And that's one of our strength as Storage Guardian service providers to provide you with monitoring and report back services. And that is our service board integration. What we're working on is to integrate the two together so we can provide a true single pane of window where you could see everything integrated. Additionally, through our portal, we will be able to lock. So in addition to what Layla was demonstrating with the right click to block, we also allow you to lock your repository if there are any threat that you see. So the first thing you do, you stop any contamination going into your repository by locking it, and that could easily be done on our portal. Adding the next generation of security and threat detection into our line of product is something we're very proud of and excited for. And I really do want to thank the guys from Cisco to pull time out of their very, very busy day to give us this presentation. And thank you guys for attending. I know that there were some questions that was being sent to us previously from like our online and some of the questions that usually comes up. So first, I'm gonna say, do you guys have any questions? If you have questions, please, you could put them in the chat, or I am going to start unmuting you guys. And if you have any questions, you could let me know. Okay, so one of the questions here, and I think Brandon, you answered that already a little bit just before I jumped in, is what are the pricing, how to purchase, and what are the trial like in terms of the Cisco, in terms of the product that you demonstrated? I'm gonna answer this in two parts. Brandon, can you? I'm gonna put you on the hot seat first.
No problem. So we definitely can offer a trial of this, like I mentioned earlier, right? We can do it. We normally start in a 30-day window, and what we do there is have one of our engineers come on and basically roll it out with you, size the network, take a look at what type of devices we're covering. You know, if it's a server environment, for example, you know, that's like a second call for us. But we basically show you how to roll out a couple of the connectors, how to download them, how to roll them out through the network, and then ask that, you know, you bring a couple of test computers that we can test on. We run this test for 30 days. We show you, you know, what we've got going on in our reporting. If we've stopped anything, you'll be able to see as soon as you've got the dashboard enabled with the alerting and everything. And basically what we do is we check in over a 2-week period and just, you know, make sure that everything is running correctly. And then from there, we start to turn things on into protect mode as you see fit. We'll run it in audit mode at first just to show you and just to tune everything. And also we'll set up things like Securex integrations for you. We'll tie in, if you have any other security pieces, we can tie that into the threat hunting that we were showing with all the different icons. So we can take care of all of that during our call as well. Okay.
And I guess this kind of ties into the what you just said before. Another question we have here is which you mentioned CM, which is Security Information Exchange and Monitoring. Can you talk about that, and how does what you show today with Endpoint integrate into the whole the whole buzzword of CM, because I'm seeing a lot of CM buzzword around that is coming up, security information exchange, and that is basically supposed to be the cure-all for everything. But can you go a little, not that deep because we are running in the last 10 minutes, but can you just talk about how endpoint protection goes into the whole ecosystem of CM? And yeah.
Absolutely. So, I mean, first and foremost, we offer a tool set that acts in conjunction with your SIM or your SOAR tool capabilities. We don't offer anything like that today at Cisco, but we do tie into all of your existing SIM and SOAR capability tool sets. So, you know, we'll bring the intelligence and the data from our endpoint tool sets into your SIM and SOAR to add to your enrichment of your data within that data set already. What we also offer for free is something called Securex, which is our own orchestration platform. It's a single pane of glass, very similar to what you saw in the threat hunting aspect. And what we do there is we tie all of your security products from a Cisco perspective, as well as have API hooks and different calls into third-party vendors as well, so that you can pull together your entire security stack. You can then run playbooks and you know, do different various threat investigations to create, you know, if then what happens. You can have automated actions set up within your environment so that a lot of the heavy lifting that you guys would normally be doing today as an organization, you know, can be tied into actions that are taken on the Cisco network. So I just want to reiterate, we are not a SIM or a SOAR tool today. We do tie into those capabilities, and we do offer a very similar capability within Securex. But you know, what we do from a SIM and SOAR perspective today is just integrate those logs into your data. Okay.
The last question is sort of more directed at us. Omri, are you still with us here? Is your microphone working?
Oh yeah, I'm here. Okay. Did you have a question for here?
Yes, question for Storage Guardian is, what is the main value proposition for Storage Guardian when it comes to integration with Cisco and also the backup and security?
Sure, great question. So Storage Guardian does proactive monitoring, so the day-to-day activities in conjunction with Cisco umbrella, products. So if you're looking for another set of eyes to cross-correlate your Veeam repository alarm alerts together with your endpoint protection. Storage Guardian has streamlined service boards and can automatically, when a threat is detected at 3 in the morning, create a process around locking down the Veeam repository so there's no contamination from the endpoint, for example. And that's something that we can work together with you to create best practices around. It's an area that Storage Guardian is growing in.
Awesome. So from the attendees, I see no chats and nothing else. Guys, thank you so much for coming in. And again, I know everyone took time to come to today's webinar. I hope we helped. I hope that if you guys have any questions, if you guys are interested in any kind of trial or anything else, please reach out to us directly. After this, I will be sending out the recording of the webinar, as well as the contact information for the panelists. So if you guys want to reach out, please feel free to reach out to us. And we will see you on our next webinar. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Layla. And please take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, guys.